Hi everyone, it's me, Tim. Today I'm going to talk about these bookshelves. It's a fun Friday, it's daylight, I'm still snowed in. Let's do this. The latest person to ask about this was Blood Mime, who asked, "Hi Tim, my partner is interested in a showcase of the items and books on your black shelves. She has a large collection of books, but based on what we were able to see, you have an interesting assortment of other items as well. Is this a video you'd be interested in making?" A video about me and my stuff? Yes. Here's a picture of the whole thing. It's basically 4 shelves, 2 big ones, a corner one, and then another one. I needed more than this when I first moved here. But over time, I've gotten rid of a lot of things. Even before I moved here, I got rid of a lot of things. In fact, when I was at Carbine, I gave away so many books and working game units like a Atari Jaguar and a Super Nintendo with a Japanese conversion unit for Japanese cartridges for their Famicom unit. I gave away so much stuff back then that people were coming up to me going, "Are you dying?" But I collect everything, and as I've told you, between my mom and I, we just keep everything, and then I just have too much stuff, and every time I ended up moving, I would give stuff away. So let me go through these shelves. I'm going to start on the left, the one right behind me, and I'm going to go from top to bottom, and we're going to work our way around the room. So, this first shelf, the left shelf, let's start at the top. At the top of it, it has the various colas from the How to Drink video I did. Behind it is the soundtrack vinyl from The Outer Worlds. And then you can see some Wacky Pack boxes and a Wacky Pack book. I did an entire video on The Outer Worlds branding and how Wacky Packs influenced me. You might want to take a look. I'll link all these things below. The next shelf is just various decor stuff, including a fake orchid. I used to have a real orchid. I don't think I can keep an orchid alive in Seattle, so this is a fake one. And that Hercules statue is something I bought years ago. He's actually an iPad holder. His hands behind him are hooked, and you can slide an iPad in there and you can read things. And then right on the really small on the right there, you can see a watch that I think my mom gave me. It's a University of Virginia themed Cavalier watch. The next shelf is an awards shelf. It's different awards I've gotten in the industry, including the only industry award that I myself was awarded, the Reboot Award. It's also got my UCI master's degree diploma, various paperweights that are all full of dried flowers. And on the right there is a gift from my friend Matt, who it's a Adventure Plus VCS cartridge for the Atari VCS. The next shelf is a lot of school yearbooks there on the left, and then some more of my notebooks. I've talked about my notebooks a lot. I got one here on my desk, and I throw the other ones there. That's not even all of them. There's at least one in this cabinet, and there's a few more in the closet over here. I have a lot of notebooks. I have a lot of notes. I also keep on this shelf a bunch of cords and miscellaneous electrical things. I don't know where to put them, so they end up on this shelf. At least they all end up just on one shelf. The shelf below it, on the left, is just a bunch of mail I need to keep. It's usually tax stuff or just financial stuff that I keep for a year or two, and then I shred and toss. There's a Nintendo DS. I think it's a DS2 in its case. I also have a Minecraft cube. It lights up. Those are my D&D stamps on the right there. I did a whole short on that. And they're sitting in front of a Tetris lamp. It works. It's just I can't plug it in because there's no hole in the bookshelf for me to get the cord to the electrical plug, which is now blocked by the bookcases. So I need to move that somewhere else so I can actually use it. Then there's a really narrow shelf that I slid things in, like my Switch case. My Switch is in the other room. I have a Nintendo Game & Watch. Yes, if you're figuring out, I like Nintendo stuff. Don't really talk about it that much. I just play it. And next to the Game & Watch is a gyroscopic toy I got for Christmas. A camera tripod that converts from either handheld to desk. I tried it briefly, and I finally bought a monitor attachment, and that's where my camera is now. There's also it's sitting on top of the original D&D screens I used in high school, and a wipe map that you can draw maps on. It's got a square on one side and hex on the other, and you can basically draw maps so people can use figures and stuff. We used to use it a lot when I played GURPS and D&D in a group. And then the bottom shelf, it's mostly oversized items. There's a lot of stuff that have to do with things I like. There's a Judges Guild one. There's one on perfume. There's one on cooking. There's also a volume 1 of The Chocolate I've Known. I kept the first volume of all my labels after I digitized everything, and I threw volumes 2 through 6 away. And I stopped keeping the labels after volume 6. There's a link to my Chocolate I've Known blog below. You can check it out. And then finally, the other container, or the other thing before the Jenga, is a card holder with all my actual Wacky Pack cards in them. And then on the right there is some plastic stuff I keep counters in. And then below that cardboard thing is a bunch of dungeon tiles. It's kind of like my wipe map from the previous shelf, but they're rigid. So I tried it once or twice. Not sure which one I like better, but there it is. Then let's go to the next shelf. This is the middle shelf. The very top is a framed copy of the original Bard's Tale construction set cover. And next to that is a tote from the Interplay production developer team. And it's stitched under it. It says, "Hi Muckety Muck." And if you look in the bottom left corner, there's a really tiny little Hot Wheel that's a Mars rover. I bought that years ago. Really, really hard to find that. I really had to look around to try to find one of those. They were flying off shelves. Underneath that is more decor, including my 20-sided mug. There's a Jeep model. I had a black Jeep, but I liked this model color better. I think it's yellow, might be gold. I just really liked it. There's I think it's a prayer bowl in front of it. I just liked it. I ordered it. And then behind it is the Busy Boy toolkit from when I was 5 years old. I told you my mom keeps everything. The next shelf below has aromatherapy stuff on the left. You can see part of an Adventure Time figurine poking out from behind a postcard I got from the Hey RPG Gamers. And then on the right it's a mix of math, puzzle, and philosophy books. Some of these I've had since I was like 8 or 9 years old. Some of the more recent ones are about 5 or 6 years ago, but I only buy a few of those, but I keep them. The next shelf is a lot more aromatherapy stuff. And then sitting in front are the woodcuts by Decode 666 that Patrick from TK, also aka TK's Mantis, he bought for me. There's a Memento video I'll link below where if you want to see more about those. The next shelf is a lot more books, various books, a lot of cookbooks in there. The left one I want to point out is a fake book. It actually holds an iPad. I bought that so when I was traveling a lot internationally, I could put my iPad and cords and charger and headphones in this thing and then hold it like it looked like a book. It's kind of cool. The next shelf is a bunch of sci-fi books, mostly hardback. I've given away probably 5 to 10 times more hardbacks just over the years. I just didn't want to move with them. But I kept these. All of these have some special significance. You'll see the multiple Lord of Light books that I have in there. And then the bottom shelf is just a bunch of game industry TV show books. I forgot to move the framed Arcanum CDs that I got after Arcanum shipped that Sierra gave me. There's nothing that interesting down there. It's just I would sometimes buy things about the art of Atari or the art of Firefly, and I would buy those, a lot of Star Trek ones, and I look at them, I like to look at them, and then I put them on that shelf. Alrighty, let's look at the skinny corner shelf. This is the one right in the corner that keeps that L-shaped from rocking. All these bookshelves are linked, so the whole thing is very stable. So the top of that corner shelf, it's more game industry books, mostly text, stories about it, about from the 80s up through now, and some stuff about Fallout 4 and some other games that I played. The next shelf is mostly paperbacks and fantasy paperbacks. If you look in there, you see a lot of Conan books, the whole collection of all the original Ace paperbacks. I looked at those. I collected those when I was in high school, and I referenced them when I did the Conan proposal that Troika did. There's a video about that below. The next shelf holds my dice. I did a whole dice video. You could probably watch that. The only thing that wasn't in it is in the back left are some Fallout dice that I got as a present for Christmas. The next shelf are gaming box sets, various ones. You can see Torg in there from my tabletop RPG influence video. The next shelf are just miscellaneous books, including some of my self-published ones. My autobiography's in there. My family genealogical book is in there. And also on the far right, Shadow Dark. The next shelf are more board games, just various board games that I picked up over the years that I put on that shelf. And then the bottom is a bunch of calendars sitting on a chest of old RPG keepsakes. Nothing major like maps, some code wheel, stuff like that. And then sitting in front of it is my YouTube, you got 100,000 followers plaque. And this brings us to the final shelf, the right shelf. The top two shelves are all of the boxed video games and associated guidebooks that I've kept. Over the years, I've had way more than this. I ended up tossing all the boxes years ago before I moved up to Seattle. And I kept the discs and manuals. Even just the discs and manuals filled an entire box. Just recently, within the last few weeks, I've thrown all those away except just a few. There were a few I'm like, I cannot get rid of this. I had the original Planescape Torment disc and manual, and that I kept. So the next one, it's a lot more glass decor. There's the light cube that you often see lit in my videos. There's a couple mini museums. I love those. They contain little bits and pieces of little fossils and little bits of interesting things. I even have a digital microscope that sometimes I plug into this computer and then look at those little mini museums. The thing on the right is a chest of all the dice containers. So all the dice I bought came in containers that I kept, and I put in that little chest there. And then to one side of them are a couple extra Troika game box sets that I kept. There's a Arcanum and a Temple. The next shelf is my D&D shelf. These are all the editions of D&D from 1 to 5 going left to right, plus modules and supplements that I bought along the way. I did a video on D&D influences. You can watch that. That's what I'm thinking of, is those books right there. The next shelf is, on the left, is all of my high school and college campaign notes. I told you guys to keep a lot of notes, and I keep them all. Then there's a bunch of non-D&D tabletop RPG books. A lot of GURP stuff, but there's more. And this isn't nearly all the GURPS books I used to have. I ended up giving a lot of those away just because every time I moved, I'm like, I have so many GURPS books. There's also 2 folders. It says Dungeons and Campaign Notes. These are from high school. They're kept in old nuclear manual binders that my mom gave me. She came home from work and said, hey, you want these binders? Ugh. And then there's a couple more big books that I got. I think those are Goodman games. They're really good. Then next is a Gloomhaven shelf. It's almost all Gloomhaven on that shelf. Gloomhaven is a big box set, and I got a big expansion, and they take up an entire shelf by themselves, with the exception of my dice holder sitting on top of the Gloomhaven expansion. The dice video shows the inside of that dice holder. Finally, the bottom shelf are all my remaining tabletop RPG books and supplements, including all the Judges Guild stuff I own. And there's a whole video on all those Judges Guild, my favorite ones, and why I was so into it. Most of those Judges Guild supplements are the D&D ones, or the what they called Universal after they didn't have the rights to D&D anymore, because that's what I played in and GM'd. Since I played but didn't GM things like Traveler and RuneQuest and a lot of other things that they made, Judges Guild made supplements for, since my friends were DMing those, I didn't buy those supplements because they wanted to use them. So that I think is all my shelves. I hoped you liked this. I know I went through it quickly, but there's a bunch of them, and it still took almost 15 minutes just to wander through it. Like I said, this is most of what I have. There's still more things in my closets, and all this is probably about 10 to 20% of what I really had, but I've given most of it away. Anyway, I hope you like that walk through my shelves.